health and fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists, lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service at dssports.ie.
Hello and welcome. This week we're bringing you an Olympic star from Offaly. We talk about being farm fit. You'll meet a Westmeath man who's dedicated his life to teaching young people, and we wish a fond farewell to an up-and-coming track and field star who's going from Laois to the United States. Now, I'm very glad to say I am joined by Allianz Ambassador Tullamore's Jordan Conroy, fresh off the back of another Olympic Games appearance. Last month, Allianz Ireland announced the renewal of its partnership with the Olympic Federation of Ireland, reaffirming its commitment to supporting Irish athletes on their journey beyond Paris 2024. Jordan, I imagine the Games in Paris was indescribably different from your Tokyo experience. You've had a bit of breathing space. Obviously, the Games themselves finished up just over a week ago, and Ireland Sevens participation the week previous. So what are your reflections at this point?
Good. I mean, look, I think the whole experience compared to Tokyo was so much better, so much more exciting. I haven't gotten a second chance at, what we wanted it to be. And definitely it was one for the books because we made good amount of memories. Coming off the back of it, obviously, we're a little bit disappointed at how the game goes, but that's the game of sevens. Sometimes it's just one little chance that doesn't go your way or goes your way, meaning, you can proceed, and it's just, it's the tip of the weighing scale. So, I mean, it was a tough time to kind of bow out at the quarterfinal, but I think we tried to do ourselves proud and get as close, place to the top, which is not too bad. Sixth place. I mean, it's definitely an improvement from Tokyo. But yeah, it was definitely an enjoyable one. A lot of time to reflect on that and to kind of think about things. So yeah, it was different. I mean, coming off the end of being this losing out on like a semi-final spot, you kind of have time to think. And obviously, when I picked up the injury, I couldn't, progress to try and help out the team. It was a little bit disappointing for me. But all in all, I think what we achieved as a team and as individuals as well was a lot of positive things. But yeah, I've been able to like switch off now for a while, which was definitely needed because it's been such a long run since we started to where we finished, and it was just nice to be able to switch off and just be human again. But yeah, it's been good. It's been quiet, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Actually, just following Grania Walsh on social media, she's alluded to that sensation of having the couple of weeks afterwards to come back down after what is internally has got to be such an intense experience building up to the Games. Just to bring you back to the actual action on the pitch, then you referred to the quarter-final exit and you referred to maybe the sense of having missed opportunities. Is it any consolation then that the manner of Ireland's departure ultimately came at the hands of New Zealand and Fiji, and in those games your side took the initiative in both the matches and probably elevated Irish rugby sevens without ultimately getting, say, a target of a medal or a semi-final?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was tough losses in the end. But I think, as you said, being able to, put on such good performances, because I didn't think we played bad at all. I think every game we played, we gave it our all, and we were right in the fight till the very end. And being able to, portray that, hopefully has, as you said, has elevated the game and brought more, shined more of a light onto the game itself. And, in the future, it'll progress even more. That's kind of working towards, making it a little bit more popular and, even working towards getting a Dublin Sevens going, like bringing a tournament to Ireland would be great. But yeah, I suppose, it's just having such tough opponents from the very beginning. We weren't afraid, but just we knew it was going to be a hard fight and it could go either way. It's expected that way. But you kind of, after a while and being in the game for so many years, you kind of have to, take that on the chin, because we know it can go either way so many times. And in so many games, it's gone for us and gone against us. And just Unfortunately, on one of the biggest stages in the quarterfinals, just one decision didn't go our way, which kind of led us to our departure, which is a bit disheartening, but that's the game.
Yeah, you alluded to how big the stage was, and I remember very clearly listening to your post-match interview after the first game, and you had like an interesting first game yourself personally, from knocking on over the line to getting the try, and ultimately Ireland getting the win. But that moment when you come out onto the pitch and you're hit with that wall of noise, I imagine that'll stick with you for a long time.
Exactly. And that's what I was talking about. You think, right, we've played in big stadiums before, but actually playing in a packed house, it's definitely an experience because when you're running out, you literally feel the vibrations of the roars through your chest, and you're just like, oh wow, okay, this is huge, and it tends to shoot up the adrenaline, and you're like shaking with excitement, and then all of a sudden you try and have to remain calm and think of the task at hand. And as I said, it took a couple of minutes to try and kind of get settled in and get used to the environment, and I think it kind of showed with a couple of things we made. With even knocking on the try, something that I usually wouldn't do, but it was just, you're so eager to get in there, and yeah, it was definitely nice to experience and to be able to handle that and to see, how quickly you kind of become, used to it. So it was definitely one for the history books, probably for a lot of us, because I don't know when you're gonna be able to play on such a stage like that before again. So it's definitely one for the memories.
Yeah, heartland of rugby in Europe, and it really looked like that through the TV screens on our end. Obviously, the next games takes place in Los Angeles, 4 years away. Is it something on your horizon? Have you an idea of what you're going to do with yourself over the next couple of years? You've got 2 Olympic Games already in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be definitely a nice ring triple Olympian, but as I said, I think I'm going to take it year by year because I don't like to plan ahead too far because you could have a plan and then the next year it completely changes and another opportunity arises. So the way I see it, just take it year by year, another year of rugby, but there's also other pathways I want to kind of, delve myself into. As I said, I've really gotten a big interest in TV production and broadcasting, with kind of trying to bulk up my CV and with the TV shows I've had, and I want to do more of this. But for now, I'll just take it year by year because, I don't know what's going to happen in a year or two to come. So if the body's still good and the body's still fresh and I'm able to play, who knows? If I'm still around in 28, I might give it another go.
Yeah, well, I know everyone around these parts are very much hoping that that's the case, and looking forward to seeing, as you said, what you're doing with yourself over the next couple of years, be it in media or on the pitch itself. You mentioned the work that you have been doing recently in terms of television, and obviously one of the standout pieces is the work you did with a bunch of young men around the idea of masculinity and being a man, and for you to be able to go from the personal history that you've had from playing for Tullamore Rugby Club to representing Ireland, and then to be someone who these young men will look up to and people watching can look up to. What does all of that mean to yourself personally?
When you say it like that, it was kind of hard to come to grasp with because of something I've tried, like I was afraid to kind of do because, when you say it like that, people to look up to you, you often at times don't feel like you're worthy. And I suppose when I did that TV show, it really opened my eyes and taught me something about myself that maybe I am ready to be that figure, that really, positive, figure for young lads. And it really gives me a lot of pride and joy to be able to do that. And when I did the TV show, it really showed me that I can do it. And I just wanted something that I wanted to dive into as well, like with mental health and with young men and teenagers, is something, that as another avenue. And having received so many positive things after the TV show, not even from kids, but from parents, was being able to help parents and showing, I had so many parents and watching it with their kids and saying, thank you, we're such a great role model. And, being this and being that, I was like, I can do something really positive here. And as I said, it made me feel really prideful to be able to do that. And I think there's something really positive to come out of it. And that's something I want to be able to do more of, to have more young men to be able to feel comfortable to be who they want to be, and, be open up, and, be of sound and healthy mind, and having more, like, young men come together from different backgrounds and just show something, how, sports can bring everyone together, and it's just something to play with there. So yeah, it was really, really an amazing experience. And, that, as I said, that's why I want to be able to do more broadcasting, to shine light on that through sports and through that. So it was definitely, something fulfilling, definitely fulfilling. And, not even just helping you teenagers, but being able to help parents, giving them, a view of the eyes of through a teenager, which can help a lot of parents too to understand their kids. Because one thing doing the show, you think you have something figured out because you've experienced it in your teenagers, but teenagers and times change, and it opened my eyes to how different things are. And, if you're set in your ways and it mightn't work because the times have changed, it opens your eyes to say, okay, maybe I have to approach it differently. So it was definitely an enjoyable experience and something I want to do more of.
Young people have a lot of the time they come under a degree of criticism for the way their generation is going and so on and so forth. But I was interested to read your kind of experience of dealing with these young men because you really spoke to their capabilities as well. What would you underline as being some of the takeaways that you learned from them in terms of what younger people are capable of these days?
What I was so surprised of their capabilities to when I was a teenager was the cognitive ability to be able to open up and speak their mind. I think a lot of, the more teenagers speak their mind, they'll be heard of, which was really impressive to how they spoke their mind and how they felt. And I think that's something we can lean towards more of. And there's nothing wrong with being a little bit outspoken, and it's trying to give them the confidence to be open about it. And I think that's something that we need to kind of, delve into, because with social media and that, there's just so many fake stuff out there that they believe that, can be brainwashed, such as the Andrew Tates and everything, that kind of we need to steer away from that and, get to the real people, the real, men that talk about real life.
Yeah, identity has become such a crucial part of our own self-esteem, and it's so difficult to manage, especially if you've grown up in the internet age and social media age in that respect. A final question then, Jordan, is I was just curious to ask you, going back to the Olympic Games, I think the last day of your games was towards the end of July, the 25th or something like that. So did you stay in Paris and take in more of the events? Obviously, you've got a bit of a track and field background as well. Did you get to watch any of the competition in the track and field?
Unfortunately, no, because I picked up an injury day two in the last, and so that was actually affecting how I was moving around, and I couldn't really walk because lymphatic fluid built up in my right quad. So my main focus was to try and get that fixed. I got to celebrate the day we finished, but then the next day I got to see a little bit of Paris, but then just my leg was too sore to even move and operate. So I didn't actually, unfortunately, get to see any other events. I had some planned, like the swimming and the volleyball and hopefully a bit of basketball, but that all came short, unfortunately. And, it's not too bad. It's Paris. I've been to Paris before, so I've gotten to see the country. It's just on the with all the other events, I didn't get to see that, which is okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, so I wasn't too pushed about it. I was more focused on trying to get my leg back working, because that was a bit frustrating at the time. Yeah,
and sure, look, maybe that gives you all the more reason to go back to Los Angeles.
Hopefully, yeah.
Jordan, you've been great with your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you.
Next up, you'll meet the Ballydangan woman who's an expert in keeping fit on the farm.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports, with gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Regular listeners of Health and Fitness will recognise the name Laura Tully as the clinical manager of the Sexual Health Services in Toos in Athlone. She's joining us from another perspective here. Laura's got a Fit Farmers programme. She's on Health and Fitness this evening to tell us all about it. Laura, this is a departure from our previous conversations. Fit Farmers, the programme itself, tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, this is my passion project, and it's an initiative designed to promote the overall health and well-being of farmers in Ireland. And it's a programme I developed back in 2019, probably stemming from my background in nursing, particularly when I worked as a practice nurse in the community. And I was meeting farmers that really weren't coming forward to look after themselves and their health in time. And I felt that they could benefit by having education and interventions to empower them really to look after themselves better and to perhaps even prevent a lot of the issues they were having. So for the last couple of years, I've worked now with over 200 farmers to deliver this intervention in communities, working with farmers with great results in terms of their health, like weight loss, strength, cardiovascular fitness, their physical activity levels, and really positive gains in their mental and social health.
Farming's such an interesting one as well, because in certain aspects it's a very active kind of a job, but when it comes to the day-to-day work, it involves, I imagine, quite a lot of repeat strain, so injury prevention around the kind of positions farmers find themselves in, say if you're a dairy farmer or something like that. That's going to be a big part of farm fitness.
It sure is. And look, in general, unfortunately, despite the active and heavy nature of the work, farmers have a poor health profile, and those musculoskeletal aches and pains, injuries are a huge issue for them. And obviously, if you think about how it affects you, it impacts your ability to do your job. So it's certainly one of the things we focus on in terms of the physical activity. And a lot of the work now is centering on building strength and stamina, improving flexibility and improving things like balance, so that farmers can either recover very quickly from injuries that might happen, or that they can prevent those negative effects on their muscles, on the body. But look, there's no getting away from the fact that it's a demanding job, it's a heavy job. So being in your best shape physically will certainly help you farm longer and healthier.
What's been the feedback over the half decade or so that you've been doing this Fit Farmers programme from the farmers themselves? Because obviously there's ingrained kind of a social culture in farming, and I think focusing on movement, nutrition, sleep and balance isn't necessarily what's been part of the framework of their upbringing through the job.
Yeah, and originally it was really difficult to recruit farmers onto my programme. They're very slow and reticent to, I suppose, even give themselves the time away from their busy workload and to come forward for something that's novel and different. But over the couple of years I've been doing it, that culture, I see it changing, and I see now that there are many programmes right across the country emphasising the importance of physical and mental well-being, particularly in farming and for men. And farmers now are coming forward and they're asking for help and support, and it is really rewarding to see and notice that change in farmers and that culture around looking after yourself. And I suppose farmers are telling me they enjoy the programme, they're coming back for it, they're telling other farmers, and it's a lovely positive intervention to be delivering, and it's a real passion project of mine, but I get great reward out of it, and the farmers themselves get great reward in developing camaraderie, social connections, and kind of reviving friendships and sense of teamwork amongst them. So it's lovely work to do, and I encourage all farmers that if there's a programme in your area, just don't hesitate. Take the bit of time, especially during the winter months, to just prioritise yourself, and you'd be surprised at what you might learn and some simple little changes, what they might do for your health and well-being.
And you mentioned that these classes take place across the region. They're fairly well subscribed at the moment, I understand.
Yeah, I work mainly throughout County Roscommon, East Galway, and some parts of the Midlands. As far as I'm aware, across the Midlands, Laois, Offaly, the programmes that are aimed at farmers and people living in rural Ireland are all heavily subscribed. We are lucky that funding is now coming forward. The Department of Agriculture are placing a strong emphasis on farmer health, well-being and safety, and there's funding available to deliver these programs. So there should be a nice ripple effect now over the next couple of years where we see our farmers changing those health statistics that have given them a poor rep when it comes to their health and well-being. But certainly we'll never have enough of them. We are, up against it in rural Ireland in terms of access to programs. Farmers, it doesn't always suit them to travel into a regional town or, out of their comfort zone to somewhere that's a gym or, an area that they're not comfortable with. So we need these out in every community hall, every parish in the country. And we need farmers, I suppose, getting involved and educating other farmers, so that it could be even peer-led or have some farmers who are kind of championing it amongst their own social group.
Yeah, the most effective influence, I suppose, is that of the person who understands your profession better than anyone else, which would be another farmer. What kind of farmer do you typically get in these programs and in these classes? Is there a typical kind of demographic, age-wise or character-wise? What do you usually see?
There's a lovely mix. We've had brothers, we've had farm families, as in husbands, wives. We've got fathers and sons a lot, uncles, nephews. So there's a lovely mix. Probably the age range, I think my youngest farmer was 21, a nephew of a farmer coming. And I've just recently completed a programme in Roscommon around Lough Funchina, and my top farmer of that group was 92 years of age. So a huge age range. Predominantly, though, average age group is around 65 plus, yeah.
Look, if we can get to our 90s and be engaging in fit programs for our whatever we still do with ourselves, like that's a testament to that particular person, 92 years old and part of a fit farmers program.
Wonderful to see, and wonderful to see that person encouraging the next generations to look after themselves and to keep active. And certainly, I think, that old phrase that movement is medicine has never rang more true. And I think, again, this is an anti-aging program. And if we all were to think about looking after our sleep, our mood, our stress control, our diet and our movement a bit better, we'd be taking the best anti-aging medication there is out there.
Yeah, no better way of putting it. Just give us an idea of the kind of activities that go on in the programme. What are the things that can actually help us encourage our bodies to move better that you be passing on to people taking the programme?
Do you know, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. So it's very simple. A walking programme can be the most basic form, where I'm encouraging my farmers to take time away from the farm, outside of the steps that they do as part of their day, to take a half an hour a day for a brisk walk, preferably a walk and talk with someone else, because you're going to get an even better enhancement in your mood from doing that. And then in terms of muscle strengthening, balance exercises, my program actually at the moment, we focus on what's called Fit Sticks for Farmers program. It's an activators pole program where this is widely available now in every community, and I encourage anyone who sees an activator pole program, particularly Westmeath, Laois, Offaly, sign up for that program, because you're going to do simple strength exercises that are going to benefit your lower limb strength, like your calves, your thigh muscles. We're going to work on balance. We're going to work on upper body strength, getting more movement into the shoulders, into those places where there's a lot of issues for farmers. And it could be as simple as a 10-minute workout at home in the kitchen while the kettle is boiling, or while you're waiting for the ads on TV. could be simple as standing on one leg for 15 seconds, working on your lower limb strength and your balance, and improving your brain coordination function as well. So there's nothing daunting about it, nothing too overwhelming. And as I said, it's all straightforward, practical, simple changes.
That's Ballydangan's Laura Tully and her Fit Farmers programme. A big thanks to her for joining us this week, and best luck to her with the programme. We're about to meet a man from the world of boxing who's just inspiring to listen to. If you've ever wondered what passion sounds like, you're about to find out.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Next on Health and Fitness, we are profiling a club in Westmeath. We're featuring the Athlone Boxing Club, who are starting up their 2024-2025 season of classes and membership. I'm very glad to say that Rory Parks from the Boxing Club joins us. Rory, thanks very much for joining us on the programme.
Yeah, no problem at all, Levin.
So talk to us about what's available. If, for instance, any parents are listening and they think they actually might want to get their kids into a junior class, or indeed they're thinking themselves they were looking to get back up to a certain fitness level or learn a new martial art like boxing, what's available at the club?
Yeah, so we run classes. We run two classes. We run a junior class that would be aimed at young children, probably around the age of 6. We'd start them in around the age of 6 and up to the age of about 11. So we move that class then, but when they get to about 11, they become competition boxers is what we call them. So they move up sort of a level to sort of their training obviously moves up, and we do an awful more cardio work with them and awful more technical work with them, and to step up into that whole competition scene. So then they sort of move up into a different class, and we call it the senior class, but basically that just encompasses a whole wide range of boxers who are competing at a certain level. So we have two classes, the junior class and the senior class. And the juniors is where we develop them. They're underage boxers. We develop them, their technical ability. It's like an education. We try to educate them on boxing, the rules of boxing, the techniques that are used. They learn offense, defense, all this type of stuff. And then when they get to 11, they become a girl one or a boy one. So that means then that they can then enter competitions and they get what's called a boxing card. And we run then an older class for that group. Now that class can go basically from 11, 12 years of age right up into the 20s. Not all competition boxers, some people come in their late teens, early 20s, and this, they're more interested in the fitness side of things and how that works for them. And that's fair enough. We understand that there's a very broad range of people out there who want to do sport, and everyone's at different levels. Obviously, the younger people that start sort of at a younger age have greater scope and they're developed an awful lot better for competition. But other people come in, say, in their late teens and early 20s, and they just want to learn, a certain amount of boxing and maybe just learn some skills. Probably not all that interested in competing at a very high level, but would still like to understand boxing as a sport and get in all that fitness and all that work that we do with the young people to get them to that competition level, because the level of training is very, very intense. It's difficult stuff. You really got to commit your life to it, if you really want to achieve in boxing, because it's a very individualistic sport. It's very individual. It's not like a team. Although we call ourselves a team, everyone is boxing for themselves. They have their own weights, they have their own weight categories, they have their own ages. So everybody is sort of in it for themselves. And what we try to do is we try to marry that together then with a sort of a team aspect in the club. But when you're in the boxing, you're certainly in there on your own. So you have got to rely on your background, your technical knowledge and all that development that you've put in over those years with the coaches in the club to get to where you want to go in boxing.
For young people, that dynamic must be really good at fostering a sense of independence and kind of helping young people mature along their lives, because if they're answerable and accountable to themselves in the ring, to their own fitness, and they tick those boxes when they're young, they'll find aspects of being an adult a good bit easier.
Absolutely agree with you. I think sport in general, and especially boxing, it holds all those key qualities, and it really digs them out of people. You got to really do a lot of digging deep within yourself to put that amount of effort in, to see the standard that's in boxing as Ireland, which is off the scale. You know, we're one of the best boxing countries in the world, Ireland. Year after year, we produce fantastic boxers, and that's fed down from the top down into all the clubs around. Obviously, some clubs operate on a different level than other clubs. You know, thankfully, we're in a very competitive club. We win an awful amount of stuff, and we work really, really hard with our young people, and that builds them that builds their character. That builds them as people going forward, because they know what it's like to work hard to achieve something. And when they get older, then they know they have already unearthed that skill, and they can put that into all different aspects of their life, whether it's in the academic world or the business world or wherever they end up. They know that they have the skills that they can dig deep, and they can pull things out of fire if they need to, and to have that drive and motivation to do that. And that comes from sport. So it's very, very important that boxing and other clubs that take young people in can instill that into young people, that strength and that motivation. Because if you can do that at a young age, well, then you can put that into any aspect of your life, because you have already achieved that and you already know how to do that in your life. So it's like an education. You know, it's just opening up a side of a young person's personality, and it's changing behaviour. It's changing the way they see things and the way they do things. And like that, they can build that into later aspects of their life. No matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, they can have the confidence to succeed and the motivation to succeed through the confidence that they have learned when they were growing up in competitive sport.
Rory, when you're working with young people in the club, that must give you a huge motivation to actually see that development in people when they come in, year out, and they're maturing in front of your eyes based on the interactions they're having in the club. What's that like?
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know, when you take a young person in at whatever age, and look, to walk in the door, like their parents will contact us and say, my child has got an interest in boxing, and you say, absolutely, bring them down. And they walk in there, and it's obviously it's a tough place to go. It's you know, there's punch bags being battered, and there's sparring going on in the ring, and you know, you've got to look at yourself and say, well, is this for me? You know, because there's nowhere to hide in boxing. You know what I mean? Like what I said already, it's very individual. It's not particularly a team. If you're having a bad day and you're playing on a team, and someone else will pick up the slack for you on the pitch, but if you're in boxing, no one's picking up the slack. You've got to pick up the slack. You know, so when young people come in and they have never even put on a boxing glove, and then they eventually get to that stage where they are in the ring, they're sparring, and then they're building, and you can see, right, okay, we're ready for competition, another level. We're constantly taking that step on the ladder, and we're constantly achieving in sport. You know, it's very, very rewarding. And I just happen to be in the game a long time. I'm running at Laois Boxing Club I'm going into my 19th year, nearly 20 years at this stuff.
Wow.
So I've seen lots of young people come in and out, and I've seen lots of young people come in, train, achieve things in boxing, and then go on in their lives to do great things in their life. Because, like what I said, you're instilling that sort of that confidence, that motivation in them, and they already have achieved. So they know, well, I've already achieved at a very, very high level, and I have already unearthed those qualities in me. Now I can apply that to my studies in academia, or I can move on in my life with my job, my career. And it's very rewarding for me, because I look back and I say, well, people constantly come back and say to me, thankfully I brought my child to you, and you know, I see now the development, and I can see now how they've changed, and you know, their confidence is off the scale. And young people themselves come back to me, people who are in their 20s, and say, Rory, you know what I mean? I had an amazing time at the boxing club, and thank you so much. You've done so much for my life, because I was able to overcome a lot of barriers, a lot of obstacles that came my way in my life. I had the confidence to overcome them, because I had to dig deep when I was in this club, and when I was training, and when I was in competition, and those skills they had built up over a long period of time when they were training. So for me as a coach, it's very rewarding. And I suppose that's what sort of keeps me in this. The fact that I have worked with so many young people at this stage, and have developed so many people, and I have seen a lot of success stories along the way. And that's what keeps me in this game.
How did you get into it 20 odd years ago, running a boxing club?
Oh, well, at the time there was no boxing club in Athlone. And my background was all in martial arts. So I would have had 2 black belts. I would have done all this stuff. So I would have cross-trained. That's what it was called at the time. It was cross-training. So I would have done an awful lot of background in combat sports. And I always had a huge interest in boxing. So I used to try to get to boxing clubs because there wasn't none in Athlone. And I didn't really have transport and so on because I was a younger man myself. I used to try to get down to these boxing clubs to do training and that. But it was more difficult back then. And I just ended up doing a lot of martial arts. And then eventually I started, getting on my own 2 feet, and I had my own transport, and I started traveling to different boxing clubs to train. Then I trained as a coach. And then, nearly 20 years ago, the time was right, and the opportunity was just came my way. And I said, right, okay, let's do this. Let's get a boxing club open. I was very interested in the competitive side of things, and I didn't think martial arts held that side for me. It didn't keep me interested enough because I grew up a very athletic person. I was always involved in athletics, in soccer. I was just into sport when I was younger, and I always loved the competition. And the martial arts didn't really hold that for me because, you reached a certain level when you had achieved your black belt status, and there was no real competition. So I wasn't able to get that sort of the buzz, if you call it. I wasn't able to get that buzz from martial arts, but boxing was uber competitive, and that's where I wanted to go when I was going to other boxing clubs to do training. And when I was training as a coach, I could see that commitment that was needed. I could see the competition. I could feel it, and I had the drive for it. And then I said, right, okay, well, I have all these qualities myself because I was exposed to an awful lot of sport myself when I was growing up. And I said the time was right to take a different direction, take a different path. I had the skills and so on, and I started boxing. And and since then it's been obviously an up and down ride. I mean, as you would have over nearly 20 years of doing whatever you're doing in your life, it's been very much up and down. But thankfully, I'd had an awful lot more highs than we had lows. And the club is going in a fantastic direction right now. We're in pre-planning for a brand new state-of-the-art boxing facility in Athlone. The council, the Westmeath County Council, have offered us a piece of land down beside the Regional Sports Centre, and we're going to be building a brand new state-of-the-art boxing facility in Athlone. And that hopefully will carry on into the future. So boxing as a sport will always now have a place in Athlone. But, and obviously there's a lot of work that's need to go into this. We will be building a facility. And that obviously costs money, so we'll be digging deep again, and we'll be using all the resources that we have to contact business owners and any stakeholders around the Midlands. We were looking for help, with trying to get this facility off the ground. And it'll be fantastic for not just Athlone, but for the Midlands, because we do have a serious lack of facilities in Ireland for sort of sports that wouldn't have as high a profile as other sports, say like the GAA, rugby, even soccer. There's a lot of sports on the sidelines that do a huge amount of work in the community as well, and they have huge numbers going to them, but they just seem to be left one side when it comes to their facilities. Like for the last 18 years, we've been training in the basement of a church. We don't have a toilet. We don't have running water. We don't have changing facilities. So I'm constantly trying to sell on the strength of what we do to parents to say, no, it is okay for your child to come here. I understand the facilities aren't good enough right now, but we are working towards getting a new facility. And thankfully, some of the councillors have come online with us, and they're absolutely behind this, and they can see the work. They can see what we've done. They can see all the champions that we've produced over the years, all the All-Ireland champions, what we've won on the international stage. They can see that, and they're saying, right, okay, look, this club it's there a long, long time. It's very well established. We do need to start looking at what we can actually do for this club.
Yeah.
And they have, thankfully. And we had conversation with the council, the planners and so on. And they are giving us a piece of land down beside the Regional Sports Centre in Athlone. And we'll be building a brand new state-of-the-art boxing facility, hopefully in the next few years.
Rory, the very best of luck with the forthcoming season. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
No problem, David. Thanks very much.
Laois's Jack Fenlon is about to follow in the footsteps of Eamon Coughlin and Sonia O'Sullivan. We've got his club St Albans on next.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports, with gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
We have many talented sports people from the Midlands flying the flags of Laois, Offaly or Westmeath on the international stage with plenty of distinction. However, there's one that's currently distinguishing himself, especially Jack Fenton from St Albans AC in Laois is now heading off to the world-famous Villanova University athletics programme on a full athletic scholarship. A man who's had plenty of involvement with Jack over the years of his running and his training is the club's PRO, Stephen Lawler. He joins us on Health and Fitness this evening. Stephen, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me on.
Remarkable achievement for Jack to get this scholarship, and I imagine everybody at the club's delighted for him in that achievement.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted in St Albans. I suppose when Jack was a juvenile in the club, everybody's kind of working towards getting athletes to senior level, and for any athlete to go to America on a scholarship is an unbelievable achievement. So we're absolutely delighted for Jack and his family. Obviously, we're a bit sad to see him go, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we are delighted to see him off.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the alumni, chairman of the board, Eamon Coughlin, and a certain runner called Sonia O'Sullivan. So he's going somewhere that's so steeped in world-class middle distance running. No better place, really.
No, definitely not. And like when you're an athlete in growing up as a juvenile, coming through into your senior years and finishing up in school, it's everybody wants to go to America. So for Jack, this is a dream come true, and like he's following a long line of unbelievable athletes that have come from Ireland, like you mentioned, Sonia, Eamon Coughlin, and the current coach there, Marcus O'Sullivan, is also an Irish athlete. And like you're talking about Olympians, Sonia's an Olympic silver medalist. Marcus has 3 world championship 1500 meter indoor titles. So like it's a college steeped in athletics history, really. Yeah,
and it's where Jack's heading now. Talk to me about watching Jack develop, because you guys would have seen him at the club as a juvenile, but obviously in the last few years he's graduated into training with the seniors, and I imagine he had everyone on their toes, be it tempo runs or doing reps. Obviously, just looking at his times, he's a real talent.
Yeah, he definitely is a real talent. I suppose when I first came across him was through his dad, John, who was training with St Albans at the time, and Jack was only a child at that stage. And we kind of watched him grow over the last number of years. Like back when he was a juvenile, Jack will tell you himself that he wasn't any special talent or anything like that. It's through work, hard work and dedication that he's got to where he is today. And like in the last number of years, he's represented Ireland in under 18 European Championships, under 20 European Championships. He's running like 14:01 for 5K, which is an unbelievable time for somebody coming out of 6th year. So yeah, it's been interesting watching Jack's development under his coach, Ned Kelly. And I'm sure that he will progress further when he goes over to Villanova, and we look forward to seeing what progress he makes.
You mentioned the hard work that he does, and I appreciate you're not training him personally, Ned is, but from as far as you understand, what kind of work represents hard work at that level to actually get up at that level? Because most club runners can relate to training twice during the week and then maybe a longer, slower run at the weekend. Above and beyond that, what kind of stuff would Jack be doing?
Yeah, Jack would have a good bit more than the twice during the week. So I suppose in the last maybe year or two, Jack would have stepped on to training at least once every day. So during 6th year, I suppose, with the exams and stuff, things were kind of took a little step back for them. But some days he would have trained twice. So he might have got up in the morning and went for a run, went off to school, and then came home and had a run that evening. But he'd also be doing like faster tempo stuff, maybe twice during the week, and then a long run at the weekend. So Ned would have it all very controlled, and he'd know when to back off or when Jack might need an extra session or something like that to get him ready for a race. But it obviously works. He became national junior 1500 meter champion earlier in the year and ran a new PB and world under 20 qualifying standard this year as well. So even though he's off to America, he's going in a great place because he's continually progressing just before he goes. So it's brilliant to see.
It's really encouraging as well to hear that from Jack's perspective, he doesn't think he had this sort of X-factor talent when he was a juvenile, but he loved what he was doing so much that he was happy to work hard at it, and that hard work has led him to the times he's running now. And, you know, if there's any parent of a juvenile who's training at the moment, that's kind of the message you can send on is, if you enjoy it, then work hard at it. And if you work hard at it, you don't know where you might actually end up in a few years' time, especially when you're growing. Yeah,
definitely. We had Jack. We had the summer camp on last week down at the club, and Jack came down just to visit as one of the senior athletes before he went off. And Nolene Conjun prepared just a little picture book for him, and in one of the pictures, it was a medal, Jack on the podium for a national B cross-country championship. So he was maybe 11 or 12. But the B championships are only development championships. It's for anyone that hasn't won a medal at the national championship. So for parents out there, like Jack and his parents, and Ned would say himself as well, that it is just hard work that gets you there. Enjoying something, keep going back. And that's the message when Jack was speaking to the kids last week, that he said to them as well, just keep turning up for whatever your sport is, and you'll see improvements and you'll make friends along the way and enjoy it.
Well, he's gotten into that rarefied air now over in the States, and we'll be following his experience with great interest over the coming months and, of course, the coming years. Let's turn the focus back to St. Albans for a second. You mentioned Jack running in the green singlet. What kind of impact do you think the Irish Olympic track and field story has had on younger people going in and out of St. Albans? Have you noticed it any sort of impact, the kind of Rashida Adeleke effect or the 4x4 women's relay team? It felt like, certainly at the time, the whole country was wrapped up in it.
Oh, it definitely was. And you can see in the athletics club that people are just on board with the wave that's taking place at the moment. Like you listen to the kids, and usually at the camp they might be talking about GA matches or soccer matches that are coming up, but it was all week it was the talk of Rashida running in the 400 metre final, and then how the relay team was going to go, and they were mad to do relays and pass the baton and see how long the lap was that everybody was going to be doing. So definitely that wave is reaching back down to the grassroots in athletics, and it's fabulous to see. And hopefully once the clubs get back training now, when schools come back, you'll see a rush of younger athletes coming to try and be the next Rashida or Sophie Becker or whoever else was on the team.
Yeah, there's no better feeling, and it doesn't have to be necessarily the running club, the athletics club, but a club of any description, to get out there and see a smiling face that recognises you in a friendly way makes the rest of the week that much better. Look, let's circle back to where we started. Jack Fenlon's heading over to Villanova on a full athletics scholarship, and a big congratulations to everyone at St. Albans and his parents who have been involved in this success.
Thanks a million.
That's the lot for this week on Health and Fitness. Joe Cooney is next with Country Roads after the news at 8 o'clock. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.